Vincent, congrats on passing our online interview. The offer has been sent to your email. We need you to start in London within 2 weeks. Do you have any questions? On the other line, a man across the ocean spoke fluent English, and Vincent didn't hesitate for a second before agreeing. No problem, I'll be there on time. Just as the call ended, the door handle turned, and Rachel walked in. Seeing Vincent, she smoothly handed over a paper bag. Sorry, the law firm had something come up yesterday, so I couldn't spend New Year's Eve with you. Don't be mad. She sounded sincere, and Vincent didn't question it much. He took the bag and glanced inside, finding a single sandalwood bracelet lying at the bottom. It was so thoughtless that she didn't even bother to give the bracelet a proper package. The bracelet was expensive, but not because of its own value. It was an add-on to a more valuable agarwood bracelet. Seeing it here meant Rachel bought the agarwood bracelet but gave him the bonus gift instead. If it weren't for the photos Thomas sent yesterday, showing off a striking bracelet, Vincent might not have suspected that his girlfriend of 5 years would give the real gift to someone else while handing him the leftover. Like how she had claimed the firm needed her when she was actually with Thomas on New Year's Eve. But Vincent didn't confront Rachel. He just said thanks and accepted the gift. Seeing him keep the gift without any follow-up, Rachel frowned and stopped him before he could go back to his room. Where's mine? Vincent, abruptly halted, was confused. He looked at Rachel blocking his way, unsure of what she wanted. What do you mean, yours? Don't you remember? You promised we'd exchange gifts every New Year's, to show we care about each other. Rachel looked upset. She thought he remembered, but instead he'd forgotten. Hearing this, Vincent finally recalled, brushing it off. We've been together for so long. We're practically an old married couple now. We don't need these formalities. Rachel instinctively wanted to argue, but then felt the words seemed familiar. Suddenly she remembered last New Year's when Vincent excitedly prepared a gift for her. But she had forgotten the promise, turning up empty-handed when he arrived with his gift. Disappointed, he asked why she forgot. What did she say back then? She'd said, "We've been together for so long. We're practically an old married couple. It's just a formality." Forgotten means forgotten. Having her own words thrown back at her, Rachel understood how Vincent felt back then. At a loss for words, she awkwardly changed the subject. She looked around for a conversation starter and ended up back on herself, saying, "I'm hungry." Her eyes followed him as Vincent only replied with a single word. "Oh, that's it? Just oh?" Rachel was surprised by his indifference. He feigned confusion. "What else? Need me to transfer you money for food? That's not what I meant. Her voice trailed off midway. Vincent looked amused. Of course, he knew what she wanted to say. Rachel was picky and often worked late, so her eating habits were irregular. Whenever she'd say she was hungry, no matter if it was 3 a.m., Vincent would get up to make her something to eat. But now he didn't care if her stomach hurt. "Since you've got the means, go downstairs and get something. I have a party to attend later." Saying this, he turned to head back to his room to change. But before he took 2 steps, Rachel grabbed his hand forcibly, and when he turned, he met with her gloomy face. "Going out this late? For what?" Vincent didn't get why she was suddenly upset. He tried shaking her off, but she held on tighter. Feeling the pain in his wrist, he frowned and hissed softly, "Let go. It's just a regular party." With no further explanation, Rachel struggled to accept it. "But you never used to do this before." True. He would never leave her for anything else. If it were the old Vincent, hearing Rachel was hungry, he would have rushed to the kitchen, having no mind to go out. But now he didn't care anymore. After all, he had already decided to leave her. He really was acting strange tonight. She pondered with one last question. "Are you still mad?" "No, not at all." Vincent maintained a calm demeanor, his voice with a hint of exasperation. Although he seemed genuine, Rachel was still uneasy. She checked the time, then offered, "It's so late. I'll go with you." Moving towards the door, she was halted by Vincent's impatient voice from behind. "Don't bother. I'm meeting up with friends. It'd be awkward bringing you along." Her movement faltered suddenly. She was surprised he refused. In the early years of their relationship, Vincent tried multiple times to introduce her to his friends. She often declined due to her busy work schedule. Now her offer was denied? Before she could speak again, Vincent had already walked past and left. The party was at a bar. As Vincent walked into the room, the friends who had already gathered teased him. "Wow, a rare guest. What brings you here, Vincent? We thought you'd have an excuse not to come, as always." "Exactly. You always say you're busy. We figured you ditched us for a girl." Listening to their jokes, Vincent felt a bit embarrassed and gave a self-deprecating laugh. "I was so foolish back then, distancing myself from friends and losing myself over a woman who didn't even love me." He sat down among the group, picked up a drink from the table and took a sip. The aroma of the alcohol rolled around his mouth, and he looked a bit nostalgic. Truth is, he once really enjoyed drinking, but he quit because Rachel didn't like it. Rachel always thought they met through a blind date, but that wasn't the case. Vincent first saw her at his parents' funeral. He was just 10 years old then, yet he personally handled the arrangements for the funeral. All his relatives told him not to be sad and to make sure to attend to the guests well. But when it came time to push those two bodies to the crematorium, he couldn't hold it in any longer. He ran out, found a corner, and sobbed. That was when Rachel found him. She was the daughter of his mother's friend and was brought along that day. Seeing how upset he was, she didn't say anything. She just sat beside him and offered him a piece of candy. "Want some candy?" she asked. He sniffled, took the candy she offered, unwrapped it, and let the sweetness fill his mouth. But the tears kept falling. "I don't have mom and dad anymore. I miss them so much," he said. She was also only about 10, but she seemed surprisingly mature. She gently patted his head. "Don't be afraid. They're still around. It's like when you're at school and they're at work. When you're home eating, they're just away on business. Even if you go looking for them, they've just popped back home. They're always around, just always missing each other. But someday you'll cross paths again." Her words gave him comfort on those long, parentless nights. He convinced himself they were still there, just that they always missed each other. He told himself that one day, after many years, they would meet again. For a long time afterward, Vincent never forgot her words or her, even though the only thing he knew about her was her name, Rachel. Many years later, Rachel's mom arranged for them to go on a blind date. From the beginning, her mom warned him that Rachel was great in every way except she was naturally distant and might take time to warm up. But he didn't mind. He had seen her warmth before and was willing to make the effort to see it again. During their 5-year relationship, Vincent centered everything around her. Her clothes couldn't be washed with water, so every day after work, his first task was to drop them off at the dry cleaners. Once, she casually mentioned how nice it would be to come home to a hot meal every day. That's when he quit his passion of jewelry design. He found an office job near her company, one that wasn't well-paying but offered him flexibility. He moved into her apartment. She didn't like the smell of alcohol, so he quit drinking too and drifted apart from his old friends. After his parents passed, he felt like he was floating, with no real home, going wherever life took him. However, being with Rachel made him feel like he finally had an anchor. Wherever Rachel was, that was home for him. So he did his best to take care of her. Luckily, his efforts weren't entirely in vain. Over time, she wasn't as cold to him anymore, and she started accommodating some of his requests, like their mutual gift-swapping tradition on New Year's Eve. But just when he thought things were improving, another guy got involved in their lives. Thomas, a college friend of his. Rachel had a thing about cleanliness. She never allowed Vincent to eat in her car. Knowing she didn't like it, he never pushed it. But later, he saw Thomas eating cookies in her car, and she did nothing to stop him. The first time Vincent successfully made sweets, he eagerly wanted to share them with her. But she frowned and pushed them away, saying she didn't like sweets. Yet, when dining with Thomas, if Thomas found something too sweet, he would pass it to her, and she happily accepted. Vincent's friends loved drinking and often hit the bars for fun. But Rachel would frown and ask Vincent to stop hanging with those friends, claiming she disliked the noise. But when Thomas mentioned going to a bar, her first instinct wasn't to refuse but to go along with him. Incidents like these happened over and over. Whenever Vincent asked, she'd just say she and Thomas were just friends and told him to stop overreacting. Now looking back, it was clear. She simply didn't love him enough. After Vincent told everyone about it, he felt like a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. But the mood turned somber. Finally, someone broke the silence. "She doesn't love you, so why do you stick around?" asked Jack. Vincent turned to Jack, smiled, and shook his head. "I'm not sticking around. I've already decided we're done. I'm leaving the country in 2 weeks." When Vincent got home, Rachel was still up. The smell of alcohol clung to him as he walked in, causing her to frown. "Didn't I tell you I hate the smell of booze? If you're jealous, just say it. Why drink yourself into a mess?" He swapped out his shoes and headed straight to the bathroom. Pausing only briefly, he replied, "I drank because I wanted to, not because of you." Rachel rubbed her temples, feeling like there was a communication barrier between them now. She didn't say more but moved to help Vincent to bed. To her surprise, Vincent dodged her hand. "Which room are you sleeping in tonight?" His words took her aback, and she couldn't believe it. "You're making us sleep in separate rooms?" Vincent waved dismissively. "You don't like the smell of alcohol, right? So it's best we sleep separately." With that, he didn't bother with further explanations and headed for the main bedroom. A while after he finished freshening up, he heard the guest room door slam. Rachel was clearly upset. In the past, he would have panicked, rushing to smooth things over. But now he didn't care. He just fell asleep. The next day, Vincent headed out early to hand in his resignation at work. It was a simple process and the handover was quick. By the time he got home, it was just noon. As soon as he walked in, he saw Rachel carrying a cake and heading out. It wasn't until his eyes fell on the cake that he remembered. It was Thomas's birthday. Seeing him come in, Rachel didn't pause or even glance his way. She just left. Vincent didn't try to stop her, because he knew this was her way of giving the cold shoulder. Ever since Thomas returned to the country 3 years ago, they'd had countless arguments because of him. Every time, after the fight ended, she'd give him the silent treatment. And every time, Vincent would immediately apologize and coax her until she was no longer upset. But this time, he quickly shifted his focus and didn't bother with her feelings. After Rachel left, Vincent went straight to his room and opened his laptop. In 2 weeks, he'd be heading to London. He needed to find a place to rent and started looking up some local recipes to try at home. Living alone overseas would take some getting used to. Lying back in bed, Vincent casually scrolled through his phone and saw Thomas had posted something half an hour ago. "Thank you for being there at every important moment of my life." Below, there was a photo of Rachel sitting next to Thomas, looking at him with a tenderness Vincent had never seen from her before. Rachel and her friends had all liked the post, and Rachel's comment was the first one. "I promised you, and I won't break my word." Her friends left comments too, saying they were happy to see them so content. But the last comment shattered the peaceful vibe, saying, "Stop posting, or Vincent's gonna cause a scene again when he sees this." Vincent had caused a scene before. Back then, he didn't know Thomas was Rachel's first love. He just thought they were close friends. So, when he noticed Rachel paying Thomas extra attention, he gently brought it up. After all, even if they're just friends, some boundaries should be respected between genders. It was a seemingly harmless reminder, yet Rachel's expression turned cold immediately. "We're just friends. It's normal interaction. What's there to avoid?" She shot back. Her friends chimed in, too, saying he was being petty for trying to control who she befriended. Vincent didn't get why a simple suggestion led to such a backlash. Not until later, when he found out Thomas wasn't just a friend, but the first love she couldn't forget. They had been torn apart because her mom disapproved and Thomas left for abroad. Then, she had agreed to go on blind dates and started dating Vincent. Only then did he understand everything. No wonder Rachel treated Thomas differently. No wonder her friends didn't like him and reacted so strongly whenever he suggested Rachel keep her distance from Thomas. It was because the person Rachel genuinely loved had always been Thomas. To her friends, Vincent was just an imposter who stole what was supposed to be Thomas's spot. They believed Thomas was her rightful match, and only with him would Rachel truly be happy. Pulled back from his thoughts, Vincent didn't confront Rachel as they assumed he would. Instead, he shut off his phone and drifted back to sleep. When Vincent woke up later that night, it was to Rachel shaking him awake with a stormy look on her face. Glancing at the time on his phone, he felt a wave of annoyance. He took a deep breath, trying to calm down before looking up at her. "What's wrong?" Rachel's voice was icy, showcasing her displeasure. "Vincent, do you even remember I'm your girlfriend? I came home this late, and you didn't even call once? All my friends' boyfriends check on them and urge them to come home. But you? Not even a single text. What's up with that?" Vincent looked at her, puzzled over what she was upset about. "You were with Thomas and everyone, so what exactly should I ask? Weren't you the one who used to complain about me always calling and interrupting your hangouts? So I didn't call. Plus, you and Thomas are just friends, right? Nothing else?" His explanation made sense, leaving Rachel at a loss for words. She wanted to argue that he never used to just sleep through her coming home late without at least checking in. But she couldn't voice this without exposing her reasoning. She didn't get why he was reacting this way until she thought back to Thomas's recent post. "You're upset because of Thomas's post," she claimed, sure of herself. Yet he shook his head. "I'm not mad." Rachel felt relieved, dismissing his words as mere stubborn denial, and started to explain. "I've known Thomas for years. It's normal to help him celebrate his birthday. The comments under that post were just harmless jokes. You don't have to take them seriously." Sleepiness crept back in, and Vincent barely listened to her explanations, giving a half-hearted "yeah, I know. Go get some rest." Rachel, catching the dismissive tone, pressed further. "I'm telling the truth. There's no need for you to be angry over this." Sighing, Vincent felt worn out, now too tired to keep this going. "How can I convince you I'm not upset?" Picking up his phone, he opened Thomas's post in front of Rachel and liked it. "See? Does this prove anything?" Rachel was silent. She stared at Vincent, trying to see if he was really not mad. After a while, she gave up, sat next to him, and reached out to hug his waist. But Vincent quietly shifted a bit to the side. Rachel was shocked. She didn't expect Vincent to reject her touch. But what came next was annoyance from the rejection. "Didn't you say you weren't mad?" He closed his eyes, not wanting to see her, and gave a reason she couldn't argue with. "I'm really tired from work today." She pressed her lips together and finally got up, leaving without saying a word. The next morning, when Rachel came out, Vincent was already having breakfast. She noticed there wasn't any for her and asked, "Where's mine?" He didn't look up, finishing his breakfast before explaining, "I noticed you barely ate the breakfasts I made before, so I figured you didn't like them much. If you want something, you can grab it downstairs yourself." Rachel was taken aback. She didn't expect that reason. She felt Vincent had been acting strange lately and didn't understand why. She concluded he was still upset about Thomas. When she spoke again, her tone softened. "Didn't you always want to go to the amusement park? Let's go today, and please stop being upset." Vincent, who had explained countless times that he wasn't angry, didn't want to go over it again. She always stuck to her own views anyway. As for the amusement park, Vincent used to want to go. He lost his parents young and never went to an amusement park. When he started dating Rachel, he often mentioned it and invited her to go with him. But every time she said it was childish, that she was too busy with work and wasn't interested. Remembering those times, he just shook his head. "It's all just for kids. Let's not go." The reason for his refusal was familiar to Rachel, but this time she didn't give up. She kept pushing until Vincent was so annoyed that he finally agreed. It wasn't the weekend, so there wasn't much traffic. Driving smoothly, they quickly reached the amusement park. They bought tickets, and just as they entered, a familiar group approached. It was Thomas and Rachel's friends. The girl in the lead, Nancy, came up excitedly and greeted Rachel, pulling her forward. "Since we bumped into you, let's hang out together. The more, the merrier." Vincent lagged behind the group, not fitting in. When he heard Nancy, he didn't react. Rachel instinctively glanced back at him. The group seemed to notice him then, apologizing insincerely but still not letting go of Rachel. It was as if they were saying, if you're unhappy, just leave. Vincent understood their meaning but didn't get mad. He just smiled, I'm cool with whatever. After all, it wasn't his idea to come to the amusement park. Seeing Vincent's approval, Rachel relaxed and accepted the suggestion. The group wandered aimlessly, trying things that looked fun. After trying the mild attractions, naturally they went for the thrilling ones. Vincent was often left with Thomas, constantly shielding him. To an outsider, they might think Thomas and Vincent were the couple. Yet, Vincent's real girlfriend, Rachel, walked behind without ever reminding her. When they reached the log flume ride, Thomas got excited. Rachel, let's do that one. Thomas's suggestion wasn't something Nancy and the others would refuse, so they turned their attention to Vincent and Rachel. Vincent didn't voice any opinions. He wasn't afraid of the thrilling rides and didn't dislike the gentle ones either. He could go along with anything. Rachel shook her head. You guys go ahead. I'm not into those. Just as she refused, Thomas grabbed her sleeve and pleaded. Come on, Rachel. I'll be scared without you. Facing his pitiful look, Rachel couldn't refuse and agreed, but she glanced at Vincent instinctively. Vincent remained calm, as if nothing mattered. His calmness made Rachel uneasy. Vincent walked to the vendor selling rain ponchos but returned empty-handed, shaking his head at them. I asked the staff. They're all out of ponchos. With his words, Rachel hesitated again. Thomas, noticing this, quickly assured her, it's okay if we get wet. We can use a towel afterwards. Rachel, I really want to go. So in the end, Rachel went with them. The group got on the log flume, secured themselves, and the boat slowly reached the top before quickly dropping under gravity. A massive splash drenched everyone except Thomas, whom Rachel instinctively shielded with her jacket. Once off the ride, everyone but Thomas was soaked. Seeing Vincent all wet, Rachel realized she'd been focused on protecting Thomas and forgot about Vincent. She cast him an apologetic glance. He didn't seem to mind and even justified her actions. It's okay. You were closer to him. Taking care of him is normal. Vincent appeared unfazed as he headed to a nearby shop to buy a towel, slowly drying his wet clothes and hair. The next plan, also suggested by Thomas, was to try an escape room. Soon, the group, led by their guide, entered the escape room. They chose one with a horror theme. Thomas, who was both inexperienced and eager to go, quickly clung to Rachel's side. Vincent watched everything they did but stayed silent. He noticed how Thomas frequently screamed when scared, only to be pulled behind by Rachel, while reassuringly telling him, don't worry, it's all fake. The puzzles weren't too hard, but everyone had their own agendas. It took them almost 2 hours to get to the final puzzle. This last step didn't require solving a puzzle but playing out a scenario. According to the instructions, a man and woman needed to play the roles of bride and groom, completing the marriage proceedings before watching a video that would help them escape. Logically, Vincent and Rachel were the only couple present, making them the perfect fit. But suddenly Nancy chimed in. I heard Vincent's afraid of ghosts. Why not let Thomas and Rachel play the roles? At this, the others joined in, echoing Nancy's suggestion. Vincent heard their weak excuses but didn't call them out. Like how it was Thomas screaming earlier or how Rachel wasn't the only other option if it had to be Thomas. Rachel neither agreed nor disagreed, but Thomas spoke up, this isn't right. If Rachel and I do it, Vincent might get mad. Even as he voiced his concerns, he held Rachel's hand tightly, looking at Vincent with a hint of challenge. That's when Vincent, who had been quiet so far, finally moved. Seeing this, Nancy and the others thought he was upset and started to criticize him. It's just a game, why get worked up? Vincent chuckled to himself, his face showing confusion. What are you guys talking about? Don't we also need a witness for the wedding? I was just going to be the best man. After saying that, he moved to the spot for the witness and gestured for Rachel and Thomas to take their places. None of them saw that coming. They exchanged glances, then started encouraging Rachel and Thomas, saying if Vincent didn't mind, they should go ahead. Once set, he began the ceremony. Everything went smoothly until he got to the part about the bride and groom kissing when Rachel suddenly stopped. Seeing this, Vincent didn't question it. Instead, he walked behind her and gave her a push toward Thomas. Rachel stumbled, her lips landing on Thomas's cheek. As the kiss completed, a video started playing on a curtain behind them, showing a story from the groom's perspective. It was about how he was deceived by a deceitful woman and died on their wedding day. Stuck in this house, his spirit vowed to take revenge on all unfaithful women until moved by real love among the players. He decides to let go and reincarnate. Once the story ended and the final door opened, they emerged, each with different thoughts about the part about genuine love. Vincent remained unchanged, unaffected by the tape. Vincent, just now when Thomas and Rachel began to explain, but Vincent cut her off. I know, I get it. It's just a game. Although he seemed calm, she couldn't shake off the memory of how he'd pushed her. Why did you push me at the end? What kind of boyfriend would push his girlfriend toward another guy? She stared, trying to read his face, but he just smiled. What else could it mean? I just wanted to finish the game quickly, he replied. Rachel wasn't done, but Thomas suddenly hurried over and took her hand. Rachel, I'm hungry. I see a restaurant ahead. Why don't we grab something to eat? Realizing it was lunchtime, she glanced at the clock and agreed, heading forward. Nancy and the others waved them off, saying they had to head back. If we don't hurry, my girlfriend will wonder where I am. After saying goodbye, they left, leaving Thomas and Rachel. Vincent, left out, then spoke, you guys go ahead and eat. I have some things to take care of. He walked away without seeing their reactions. Vincent wasn't making excuses. He actually had business to attend to. Recently, he'd applied for a passport and today was the day to collect it. Leaving the amusement park, he took a cab to the office to get his passport. After getting it, he snapped a photo with it beside his offer letter and posted it with the caption, starting a new journey in life. It was visible to everyone, except Thomas, Rachel, and their close circle. He didn't expect much from sharing his excitement, but 3 days later, he got an unexpected call. It was his college mentor, who he hadn't spoken to since he gave up his career for Rachel. Now Vincent realized his mentor was probably disappointed in him back then. Professor, what made you call out of the blue? His mentor sounded cheerful over the phone. I heard you're going abroad to get back into design. We're having a reunion tomorrow. Why don't you join us and we'll make it a send-off party for you? Remembering how long it had been since he last saw his advisor and classmates, Vincent didn't hesitate and agreed right away. That night, he went to sleep early in the guest room, not even noticing when Rachel came back. The next day, Vincent left his house and went straight to the address his advisor had sent him. As soon as he walked into the reserved room, his advisor called him over to sit beside him. It was a class reunion, and even though they hadn't seen each other in years, there was no lack of conversation topics. As the group ate and chatted away, time flew by. Right when Vincent was talking with his advisor, his phone rang. It was a call from an intern at Rachel's law firm. As soon as he answered, the intern sounded frantic. Vincent, Rachel's having stomach pains again, but I don't know what medicine she needs. What should I do? Vincent didn't hold back. He told her the names of the 2 medicines Rachel usually took. There were some shuffling noises on the other end, and finally, with a voice almost in tears, the intern said, Vincent, I couldn't find them in the office. Could you bring them over? In the past, Vincent would have agreed immediately, but now, without any hesitation, he refused. If you can't find them, just go to a nearby pharmacy or order delivery. It's convenient. I won't be coming. After hanging up, the once silent advisor spoke. Is it that girlfriend who made you give up everything? Vincent nodded. Yes. Will she be okay with you going abroad? The advisor asked, concern evident in his voice. Vincent was the top student in the department. He loved jewelry design, had talent, and worked hard. His future was bright, yet he gave it all up for a relationship to care for his girlfriend full-time. The advisor feared Vincent might give up this rare opportunity again for a disagreement with his girlfriend. But Vincent quickly shook his head. It doesn't matter if she agrees or not. I've decided to break up with her. Surprised by this turn of events, the advisor laughed heartily. Good. That's how a man should be. You can't give up your future for a woman. Vincent, you were the most talented student I ever mentored. If you stay on this path, it'll shine brightly. Don't let this chance slip by again. Vincent smiled softly. I won't, because now I've learned how to love myself. After the class reunion, it was late when Vincent got home. As he walked into the living room, he was surprised to see Rachel sitting on the couch with a sullen face. He raised an eyebrow. What are you doing here? Rachel, looking pale, stared at Vincent for a long while before speaking, not even answering his question. Where were you? So late. You knew I had a stomachache. Why didn't you come to find me? She fired off questions, clearly upset. But in contrast, he remained calm, looking at her without a trace of emotion. I didn't come because I had things to do, he said. Besides, I'm far from your office. It's easier for you to have someone else buy it or order delivery. I wouldn't be of any help. As he turned to leave, Rachel couldn't hold back any longer and raised her voice. Vincent, you weren't like this before. He looked at her indifferently. How was I before? Rachel began trembling, getting more agitated. Vincent pinched his brow and suddenly grabbed her, speaking words that sent chills down her spine. It's late and I'm really tired. Calm down. I'm going to bed. With only 2 days left before his departure, Vincent deleted and blocked Rachel and all her friends' contacts. Since they didn't really like him and preferred Thomas, there was no need to stay in touch once he left the country. After deleting them, he quit all the group chats he joined for Rachel's sake. Clearing out everything related to her, Vincent started packing. Living here for 5 years meant there was quite a bit to handle. Fortunately, Rachel left early, saying the firm had a new case, allowing him time to pack. He finished just as Rachel walked through the door. Seeing all the luggage at the entrance, she felt an unsettling feeling and asked, "What's going on here?" Surprised by how early she returned, he looked at the luggage but stayed composed. He casually replied, "Just getting rid of some old stuff. I'm planning to replace them." She glanced over, suspicious but eventually let it go. Rachel had her own issues, feeling upset and a bit scared. "Why did you delete me?" Caught off guard by her quick discovery, Vincent logged out of his account, feigning surprise. "Oh wow, did I get logged out?" With Rachel watching, he logged back in and apologized. "Your friend list might be wiped because my account was hacked." Whether it was Vincent's obviously fake performance or her sensing his recent behavior, she found it hard to believe his story. "Just add me back now, let me watch you do it." She stood there firmly, not moving an inch. Vincent sighed, grabbed his phone, and pointed it at her exposed QR code. But before the info could scan, her phone started ringing. Thomas flashed on the screen, and she quickly tucked her phone away. She answered, and whatever was said, it made her expression change slightly. "Thomas, don't worry, I'm on my way," she reassured. And with that, she turned and rushed out the door. Vincent calmly shut down the friend request screen. Just as he was putting his phone away, a trending topic popped up. The trending hashtag read, "Thomas plagiarism." Thomas, a hotshot new jewelry designer, shot to fame after winning a national contest. But now his winning designs were exposed as plagiarized, specifically from Vincent. No wonder Thomas was so frantic to call Rachel. Rachel, his ex and a lawyer, could probably help him out fast. But in the design world, plagiarism is a dead end. Thomas was digging his own grave. Not that it mattered to Vincent. He opened a ticket app and booked a flight to London for the next day. Everything was set. He just needed to leave tomorrow. Rachel returned the next morning, looking rushed. She hesitated when she saw Vincent eating breakfast but finally spoke up. "Vincent, Thomas's designs from a few days ago were revealed to be copied. I saw the originals. It's your True Love series from 5 years back." Thomas made a statement saying he didn't plagiarize and that you two were collaborators. "Could you log in and share that just this once?" 5 years ago, when he chose to leave jewelry design, he worked nights to wrap up the True Love series. She'd asked him back then, why quit when he loved designing so much? His reply was simple. She mattered more. The True Love series was their first project after they got together, and it ended because of him. Rachel knew its importance to him. Yet now she was asking this favor for Thomas? She wanted the victim to clear the plagiarist's name? It was absurd. Vincent couldn't help but laugh as he looked at her. You really want me to help clear him? She didn't respond, but her eyes told him everything. She expected Vincent to help Thomas. She asked because she was certain he wouldn't refuse. She knew how much Vincent loved her. Seeing his calm expression, Rachel felt a stab of guilt. She thought about offering him something in return. You wanted to visit the Holy Spirit Islands, right? Once you post the statement, let's go together, okay? To show she meant it, she booked 2 tickets to Australia right in front of him. Yet moments after paying, Thomas called again. Rachel, someone leaked my address. There are people outside my place. I'm scared. The phone trembled with his cries. Hearing Thomas was besieged, panicked Rachel. She barely had time to remind Vincent to post before dashing out again. He watched her leave without a word. After finishing breakfast, he calmly cleaned up, took out his phone, and logged into his long dormant account. He reposted Thomas's defense but added 8 simple words. No collaboration, just theft. With that done, he ignored the chaos that would follow. He broke the SIM card, tossed it in the trash, and packed his bags. Gazing at his home one last time, he walked out, hailed a cab, and headed to the airport. This time, he wouldn't stay for anyone. The post quickly sparked an uproar. The original creator pointing out Thomas's theft after his lame collaboration excuse was laughable. The internet was furious, and soon overzealous fans found Thomas's exact location, defacing his front door with hateful graffiti. Rachel was at Thomas's, trying to console him. It's okay, Thomas. I'm a lawyer. I'll make sure everyone who's threatened you will pay. But her words did little to soothe Thomas. He cried even harder as he showed her Vincent's damning post. Rachel, didn't you say Vincent agreed to help? Why would he do this to me? Does he really still hate me? Seeing him so distraught broke Rachel's heart. She was about to look for Vincent's profile, but remembering yesterday, he hadn't sent a friend request after being interrupted by Thomas's call. She realized he had never re-added her. Trying to call him unveiled the final blow. She'd been blocked. The thought seemed ridiculous, but pairing it with the suitcases she saw Vincent leave, a harsh truth unfolded. Desperately, she scoured through the chats and groups Vincent once joined, but his familiar name was nowhere to be found. She tried every possible way to find Vincent, but came up empty. Even on Weibo, he had blocked her. Her anxiety grew, so she called Nancy and their friends, not even caring about Thomas asking what was going on. Can you get in touch with Vincent? She cut straight to the chase. But after asking everyone, she got the same response. No one could reach him. Rachel then realized she couldn't find Vincent anywhere. A look of confusion flashed in her eyes. She didn't know what happened, but instinctively got up and headed for the door. Seeing her about to leave, Thomas panicked. Rachel, where are you going? Don't leave me. I'll be scared by myself. Usually this kind of plea worked, but not now. Rachel pushed past him, went downstairs to the underground garage, got in her car, and drove home. Thomas, afraid to leave on his own, watched helplessly as she left, slamming the door before moving to the window just in time to see Rachel's car speed away. 20 minutes later, Rachel was home. She searched every room but found no trace of Vincent. Looking more closely, not only was Vincent gone, but all his belongings were too. Desperate to find any sign that Vincent had been there, she finally saw a note on the nightstand. Rachel, let's break up. Just 8 words, but they hit Rachel like a ton of bricks. Vincent wanted to break up, but he loved her so much, how could he let her go? He even gave up his favorite jewelry design for her. And now, just because she asked him to make a statement clearing Thomas, he was leaving her? Rachel couldn't believe it, but she had to. Vincent left with no chance for her to argue, not even knowing if he was in another city or another country. The empty room mirrored the emptiness she felt inside. Sadness overwhelmed her, breaking down her logic. She even ran back to the law office, using a coworker's phone to call Vincent, but every attempt ended with a cold mechanical voice saying, "The number you have dialed is unavailable." Just then, her phone rang. It was Thomas. "Rachel, where did you go?" "I'm scared," Thomas's voice came through, but she no longer felt any urgency. She massaged her temple, staying silent until low sobs on the other end made her softly say, I took your case and I'll see it through. Don't worry, those who used illegal means won't get away. Rachel eventually stepped in to help Thomas, addressing the situation. Though Thomas couldn't shake off the plagiarism label, she took firm action to punish those who leaked his private info or vandalized his home. But soon after, news spread that Vincent and Rachel had broken up, or more accurately, that he disappeared without explanation. Nancy and the others quickly invited Rachel out after hearing the news. The moment she arrived, they surrounded her. No wonder Vincent hadn't visited lately while you handled Thomas's case. He's finally smart enough to let go. Hey Rachel, now that he's out of the picture, when are you getting back together with Thomas? They chatted away, but Rachel didn't follow. Get back together? What do you mean? What? You don't plan to get back with Thomas? Why would I get back with him? She downed a drink, lost in thought. She tried every way to find Vincent but only learned he had gone abroad. She didn't know which country. Shaking her head, she spoke with a hint of sadness. I just want to find Vincent. Why are you even looking for him? Rachel, don't tell me you've fallen for Vincent? Nancy sounded incredulous, eyeing Rachel, who seemed to have aged days in mere moments. Rachel drank silently, pausing at Nancy's words. Like Vincent, the idea had never crossed her mind. But now that Vincent left like this, she just felt empty and unsettled. She chuckled bitterly, softly saying, he was my boyfriend for 5 years. Isn't it normal to like him? But if you like him, what about Thomas? Alex interrupted, taking away her drink with a puzzled look. We all thought you liked Thomas and were pressured into dating Vincent, so we helped you and Thomas be alone. You never said no. Now you say you like Vincent? Rachel grabbed a new drink, lying back on the sofa. Frustration weighed heavily in her voice. I don't know. I just know that when he left, I felt like part of me was missing. I think of him no matter what I do. She thought they'd take her side. But as her words settled, their expressions turned complicated. Finally, Alex couldn't help but snort, putting the bottle back in front of her. Rachel, serves you right. The others stayed and drank with her for a bit before leaving one by one. In the end, Rachel was the only one left in the booth, drowning herself in drink, one glass after another. Rachel rarely let herself go like this. Back in school, she was always the ideal kid. She was stuck in the role of the good student and never dared to step out of line. The first time she let herself go was the year she met Thomas. Thomas didn't do well in school either and was often bullied and isolated. Rachel noticed him because every time she saw him, he was being picked on. She stood up for him a couple of times, and because of that, he started sticking around. Later, Rachel found out that Thomas was quite popular with the opposite sex. Her friends liked him too. Even she couldn't resist and ended up falling for him during their time together. They dated for 3 years. Rachel planned to introduce him to her parents after graduation and then get married. However, Rachel's mom didn't like Thomas. She thought he was too calculating. So she paid to send Thomas abroad and arranged a blind date with Vincent for Rachel. At first, she really disliked Vincent. Although Thomas's leaving wasn't Vincent's fault, he still seemed to take Thomas's place. Back then, she thought she'd never fall for him. But later, Vincent gave up so much for Rachel. Whenever she asked him why, he'd say that she was the most important thing in the world to him. He'd give up anything for her. Rachel was touched by his unconditional love, so her attitude toward him softened. That's when Thomas returned. With lingering feelings for him, she drifted away from Vincent again. She figured if it weren't for Vincent, she'd be with Thomas, the one she truly liked. She thought she wanted Thomas. However, when Nancy and the others hyped up chances for her and Thomas, she never refused them. Still, she began to feel resistance inside. She thought to herself one last time, after which she'd only see Thomas as a friend. She believed she could handle it. When Vincent initially left her and Thomas alone, she thought she had managed both relationships well. But later, her negligence and boundary testing caused Vincent to choose to leave. She couldn't help but think maybe this was what she deserved. The bottle in front of her was more than half empty, and Rachel's mind grew fuzzy. In a daze, she seemed to see a familiar figure. She reached out. He smiled back, helping her up and taking her to a box upstairs. "Vincent, is that you? You're back, right? This isn't a dream, is it?" His movements paused for a second, but he quickly snapped back, his voice gentle but slightly different from what she remembered. "Yeah, I'm back. Let's get you some rest first." But Rachel, already too far gone to think straight, paid no mind. With a ding, the elevator stopped. She was guided into a room, laid onto a soft bed, and fell into a deep sleep. Next to her, Thomas ran his fingers over her closed eyes and then down to the buttons of her shirt. His eyes filled with a touch of resentment. "Rachel, you're mine. I won't let you love anyone else. You're stuck with me for life." That said, he shrugged off his clothes and lay down beside her. 5 years later, at J-City Airport, Vincent walked out in a black suit and sunglasses. Being back on the land where he once spent so many years stirred some emotions in him. When he went to London, it was with the intention of staying forever. But after 5 years, he finally understood why London was called a food desert. Thankfully, there were Chinese supermarkets and he could cook for himself, which made things more bearable. So, when the company announced plans to open a branch in China, he was quick to volunteer to return with the team. The main group hadn't arrived yet. Vincent stood to the side of the exit with his suitcase, waiting for them. Just then, a familiar female voice full of disbelief came from behind. "Vincent, is that you?" The instant the words left her mouth, a shadow fell over him. He looked up to see none other than Rachel. After 5 years, finally seeing the person he had dreamt of, her voice shook, and she reached out, wanting to embrace him. But Vincent moved quicker, stepping back as soon as she reached out. "Rachel, keep it professional, please." The aloof title made Rachel pause, and his retreat pained her heart. "Vincent, where on earth have you been all these years? I've searched for you for 5 years, and I've finally found you." "Rachel, where I've been is none of your business, and I never asked you to look for me," he replied. "Also, we're not close enough for you to call me Vincent. You can call me Rachel." Rachel shook her head, still in disbelief. "Vincent, how can you say we have no connection? Are you still mad at me? I know I was wrong. Can you give us another shot? I swear I won't disappoint you this time." Vincent sighed in frustration. For the first time, he truly understood what it meant to talk to a wall. "Rachel, can't you understand? Am I mad? At what? Did you forget we broke up 5 years ago? Another chance? Ha! Rachel, why would I do that? Ethan, are you ready? We gotta go." Their back and forth was interrupted as the rest of the team reached the exit. Looking back and seeing Vincent still there, they called out to him. The moment Vincent heard that, he wheeled his suitcase right past Rachel. "I have things to do, no time to get tangled up with you." "Excuse me." He didn't even glance at her reaction, just sped up and left. Rachel wanted to chase after him, but a hand suddenly blocked her path. "He doesn't seem to want any ties with you, ma'am." "Clinging onto him isn't very gentlemanly," said a woman's gentle voice. Rachel frowned. "This is between him and me. Who are you to meddle?" "I'm his girlfriend," the woman replied with a sarcastic and scornful smile. "If someone's harassing my boyfriend, ma'am, please tell me, who else has the right to step in if I don't?" Rachel picked up on the hostility, but she didn't acknowledge the girlfriend claim. After all, Vincent left without any sign of waiting for someone. "He likes me," she said confidently. The woman laughed out loud. "I don't know where you get such nerve. Your ancient history, and I'm his present. You're telling me he likes you? Maybe he liked you once," she continued, "but he's chosen someone else. Why keep pestering?" Rachel didn't want to believe it, but the woman's certainty and detailed knowledge about her and Vincent made her uneasy. Had Vincent really moved on? But he used to love her so much. How could he fall for someone else so easily? Tight-lipped, she glared at the woman and stubbornly declared, "I won't give up on him. No matter who you are, you can't take him away from me. I'm Linda. Feel free to try," Linda said with a raised eyebrow, amused by Rachel's threats. "Taking him away from her? That's a joke. Vincent left 5 years ago. She's just stuck in the past. Thinking he still belongs to her?" Linda looked at Rachel as if she were an absurd spectacle, before calmly walking in the direction Vincent had left. Rachel was left standing there, her face alternating between red and white. Linda, the only daughter of J-City's top family, heir to the L Group, in a completely different league than Vincent. How could they even know each other? And wasn't Linda supposedly dating an international guy? Was Linda lying about Vincent being her boyfriend? Fists clenched, Rachel watched Linda's retreating figure, anger boiling inside. She'd find Vincent and expose Linda's true colors. She wouldn't let Linda's plans succeed. Vincent knew bumping into Rachel in J-City was bound to happen. But he didn't expect it to feel like such a small place. Rachel's law firm works with DW's domestic branch's legal department. Luckily, he handled the jewelry design section, so he rarely dealt with legal matters. Still, he was briefly surprised to see Rachel as the legal representative, but soon shrugged it off. After lunch, Vincent found a bouquet of red roses on his desk. His coworker gasped, "Wow, Ethan, your girlfriend is really romantic." When they turned to look at Vincent, they noticed he wasn't pleased. Without much thought, he tossed the bouquet into the trash. "Why throw away such beautiful flowers?" his colleague asked, disappointed. Vincent chuckled. "If my girlfriend saw them, she'd get jealous. You know how Linda is." His coworker realized the flowers weren't from Linda. Curiosity piqued. He asked, "How do you know she didn't send them?" Thinking of Linda brought a sweet smile to Vincent's face. "She knows I don't like roses." Neither noticed Rachel watching them from afar. She couldn't hear the conversation, only saw Vincent discard the roses without hesitation or confirmation. Despite a moment of disappointment, it reinforced Rachel's belief. Vincent must not care for Linda. If he did, he'd check if the flowers were from her before throwing them away. Plus, Linda hasn't shown up for days. Vincent's decisive actions seemed to suggest they might not be that close. Maybe they weren't even a couple. Could this mean she still had a chance? Joy bubbled up, lifting her recently gloomy mood. With her mind made up, Rachel kept checking the clock. This was the most she'd looked forward to quitting time in 5 years. Finally, when the workday ended, Rachel quickly made her way downstairs, waiting by Vincent's car. 10 minutes later, Vincent, ready to head home, spotted Rachel waiting by his car. Seeing him, she couldn't hide her smile. "Vincent, got time today? My mom heard you're back in town and wants to see you." His initial reaction was to leave, but mentioning Rachel's mom made him pause. Though he and Rachel had broken up, Rachel's mom had been kind during their 5 years together. A visit wouldn't hurt. "I'll find time to visit her." He said his piece and got in the car. As it started, she still refused to leave. Even though the window muted her voice, he heard her clearly. "Vincent, I don't know what's going on between you and Linda, but I need to tell you, she's not a good person. She has a boyfriend overseas, Vincent. I can't stand to see you get fooled. Can you just hear me out?" The window slowly rolled down, revealing Vincent's handsome profile. "What else do you want to say? But let me remind you, if it's about Linda and me, you don't need to bother. Our business is none of yours." "Our business is none of yours" crushed the flicker of joy in Rachel's eyes. He had completely separated himself from her. Still, she couldn't just let it go. She made one mistake. Why wouldn't he even give her a chance? With pain on her face, Rachel hurried up before Vincent lost his patience. "Vincent, please believe me. My love for you is real, and what I'm saying is true. Someone like Linda, the rich princess, can't be sincere. Didn't she ever tell you she has a boyfriend abroad?" She spoke with sincerity, but Vincent remained unmoved. He turned to look at Rachel seriously for the first time, but not with gratitude or delight. His look was full of deep mockery. "Rachel, it's been 5 years, and you've become someone who loves to stir the pot? People are like mirrors. You see others as you see yourself. You're slandering her. But did you ever think that Linda's boyfriend abroad could be me?" Rachel was stunned by his words, not expecting such a reply. She was shocked that his opinion of her was so poor. She stood there, dumbstruck, watching Vincent roll up the window and drive away. 20 minutes later, Vincent arrived back at his rented place. When he opened the door, he saw Linda wearing an apron. Her face lit up with a warm smile when she saw him. "You're back. The last dish is almost ready. Then we can eat. Vincent was a bit surprised at her in this role. He squeezed her cheek as she leaned in. You can cook? What other surprises are you hiding from me? Linda chuckled indulgently, leading him to the table. I just learned today. Want to try? He glanced at the 4 simple homemade dishes on the table. They looked pretty decent. He tasted one and was pleasantly surprised. He gave her a big thumbs up. This is good. Vincent praised her generously, then mused, I didn't know you had such cooking skills. Finally, he decisively declared, first time cooking and it's so good. Guess you have a knack for it. From now on, cooking is your task. Linda, a bit taken aback by his reaction, soon burst into laughter. You're really something. I bet you're the only one who can boss around the heir to the L group like this. The next day at lunchtime, Vincent was about to head downstairs when Rachel showed up with a food container. Vincent, you haven't eaten yet, right? I brought you lunch. Let's eat together. She moved to set the container on his desk, but he stopped her. No need. I'll just go downstairs. Vincent's rejection was firm, but she wouldn't give up. Rachel forced a smile and pushed the container towards him. I brought this just for you. Before she could finish, a sharp male voice interrupted her. Rachel, that's what I made for you. How can you give it to some other loser? Vincent turned to see Thomas, a familiar face. His voice was sharp and nasty, piercing through the quiet office. Others frowned in discomfort. Vincent pushed the container back and, compared to flustered Rachel, stayed calm. He told you it's for you. Why are you giving it to me? This scene reminded her of 5 years ago, when Vincent decided to leave. He'd also been like this then, indifferent to everything, unconcerned with who she was with or her. Lost in thought, Rachel didn't notice when Thomas approached. Seeing that familiar face, she couldn't speak. 5 years prior, a drunk Rachel mistook Thomas for Vincent and ended up in bed with him. While she didn't acknowledge it when sober, she couldn't shake him off after that. Thomas played the role of Rachel's boyfriend, driving away her admirers, and Rachel, tired of dealing with men, let him. No one said it, but Thomas knew Rachel tolerated him as long as he wasn't bothering Vincent. After a short silence, Thomas's eyes filled with hate. Before Vincent, Rachel's heart belonged to him alone. Initially, when he learned Vincent and Rachel were together, Thomas wasn't worried. He knew that all he needed was to show up, and Rachel would come back to him. He was right. When he returned from abroad, even though Rachel hadn't broken up with Vincent, she'd drop everything to be with Thomas with just a call. Until Vincent suddenly left the country. He left, but it felt like he took a part of Rachel's soul with him. From that moment on, her world only revolved around him. Thomas, once the moonlight she couldn't forget, was now reduced to a mere grain of rice she had to cling to with tricks to keep around. Thomas glared resentfully at Vincent. Since he had left, why come back now? As he followed, Rachel became flustered. Why are you here? She asked, quickly turning to Vincent. Vincent, let me explain. I have nothing to do with him. Vincent, unfazed by their emotions, impatiently pushed past them. Rachel, I don't know what you both are up to, but I really don't have time for these childish games. This is a company, not a marketplace for your arguments. Stop blocking the way and disrupting others. He strode to the door. Just as he reached it, a woman appeared, a red dress, black hair, and immediately wrapped her arm around Vincent's shoulder. Let's go. I'll take you to lunch. He raised an eyebrow at Linda, who looked as grand as a peacock, but didn't push her away. Why are you here? If I hadn't come, someone might have stolen my husband, Linda teased, but her eyes shot a warning glare at Rachel. If Jane hadn't called me, weren't you going to tell me anything? One glance and Rachel and Thomas didn't dare to push further. Their status couldn't compete with the heiress of the L group. Still, Rachel wasn't ready to give up just like that. Eventually, Rachel turned to Thomas, her voice filled with anger. Thomas? Who told you to come here? Get lost. Thomas's eyes reddened instantly, tears welling up. He tugged at her sleeve, pleading softly, Rachel, I was wrong. Next time, I won't just follow you on my own. Please don't send me away. Seeing more eyes on them, Rachel wanted to avoid further entanglement. She tossed the lunchbox into a nearby trash can. Since you love your lunchbox so much, don't bother bringing any for me anymore. Then she brushed off his hands, turned, and left with a cold face. Panicked, Thomas quickly followed her, forgetting about the discarded lunchbox. Meanwhile, Vincent and Linda were already at the restaurant. After ordering, Vincent passed the menu to Linda. Our company is hosting a party next week. You can bring a +1. Want to come? Of course I do, she said after placing her order and handing back the menu. I can't let you watch everyone else couple up while you're alone. Since you invited me, I'll sacrifice and be your date. Vincent gave her a sideways glance. Fine, if it's such a chore for you, maybe I'll find someone else to go with me. He pulled out his phone as if to text someone, and Linda looked at Vincent in disbelief. I was just joking. You wouldn't really take away my +1 privilege, would you? Their meal ended amid playful banter. By the time they returned to the office, Rachel was gone. Yet from that day on, she fixated on Vincent, bringing him flowers and meals daily, undeterred even when he threw them away each time. A week flew by, and soon it was the day of the company party. Vincent entered the venue with Linda on his arm. Almost immediately, people with drinks approached them. Following a few polite exchanges, Vincent regretted bringing her. Although most people greeted him first, they mostly seemed interested in Linda. Vincent disliked these business minglings, yet people often used him as an introduction to Linda. It became her event to network, and Vincent found himself more exhausted than anyone. Half an hour later, Vincent rubbed his face, weary from forced smiles, and glared at Linda. Handle this yourself. I need a break. He grabbed a small cake, found a corner, and took delicate bites. Just as he was about to finish, a certain unwelcome someone appeared. Vincent, why are you here alone? Rachel smiled, gazing at him longingly. Didn't Linda come with you? See, I told you those rich girls aren't sincere. Look, she didn't even want to come to a party with you. Without changing his expression or even glancing at her, he rose to find another spot. But as he moved, Rachel did too. After some time, his irritation became evident. Spit it out already. Her face colored with awkwardness. Vincent, during your absence, I really thought about things. I used to think I liked Thomas and I hurt you. I'm sorry for that. But in the 5 years after you left, the pain of losing you was much worse than when Thomas left. I realized, Vincent, I've loved you all along. My feelings for Thomas were just an obsession. Vincent, can you give me another chance to make things right? Her plea seemed sincere. If Vincent hadn't personally lived through that time, he might have forgiven her. But now, he looked at her with cold indifference, speaking harshly. No, you say you later realized it was an obsession with Thomas. Who's to say you won't later claim I was just an obsession too? If you can't understand your own heart, why should I trust your promises? Each word Vincent spoke made Rachel's heart sting more, leaving her with just one feeble defense left. 13 Vincent, I'm not lying to you, I swear. When you were gone, every day felt like hell. I can't live without you. In the distance, Linda noticed the situation and interrupted the conversation she was in. She pointed toward Vincent. Sorry, I've got to go take care of something, she said, excusing herself. Seeing the guy blocking Vincent, the others nodded in understanding and let him leave. Linda hurried toward the corner, but suddenly noticed a suspicious figure wearing a waiter's outfit. The man kept his head low, slowly moving towards Vincent. She couldn't see his face, but it was clear he was a man. A bad feeling hit her. In the corner, because of the standoff, Vincent was still facing away from the man, unaware of the danger. Linda sprinted faster, but she was still a few steps behind. Right then, the man pulled out a knife and lunged at Vincent. Vincent, die! Rachel looked up just in time to see the knife-wielding man, the blade inches from Vincent. Her pupils narrowed in panic. Without thinking, she pulled Vincent aside and switched positions with him. In the next second, the sound of the knife-piercing flesh echoed, followed by Rachel's cry of pain. Blood splattered before Vincent's eyes, and his mind went blank. He couldn't react. Rachel's weight collapsed onto him, and he could barely stay standing. He kneeled, supporting her. The knife guy, surprised by the switch, raised the knife again to stab Vincent. But before he could, a huge force hit his wrist. Pain shot through his wrist, and he couldn't hold the knife anymore. Clattered to the floor. Then he was kicked down and pinned by arriving security, unable to get up. After a moment of panic, the banquet hall calmed down once they realized the attacker was subdued. Some called the police, others an ambulance. Someone yanked the man's mask off, revealing a face Vincent instantly recognized. Thomas. Suddenly, Vincent understood. Their only connection was Rachel. If he wanted Vincent dead, it was because of her. But Vincent was at a loss. Last he heard, Thomas and Rachel were dating. Was Thomas really going to kill him just because Rachel had been pestering him lately? Stunned, Vincent sat there until someone helped Rachel aside. Then he felt someone hug him. Linda's heartbeat thundered in his ears, warming him up. "Are you hurt?" "I'm so sorry I'm late," she said, voice shaking. She looked him over from head to toe, relieved only when she saw he was unharmed. She hugged him again. Vincent finally snapped back to reality, feeling her fear. He gently patted her back. "I'm fine, don't worry." Still, that terrifying scene replayed in his mind. It was so close. If not for Rachel, he would have been stabbed. Linda clutched him tightly, afraid if she let go, it would all be a dream. "I'm so glad you're okay." "I was scared to death," she admitted. Yet, remembering Rachel taking the hit for Vincent, her eyes flashed with frustration. If only she'd been faster, maybe Rachel wouldn't have. But as long as she's there, no one could take Vincent away. "Vincent, you bastard. I'll kill you. I won't let you go," Thomas shouted, eyes full of hatred. But before he could continue, someone stuffed a napkin in his mouth, silencing him. Only his muffled grunts remained. With such an incident, the banquet couldn't go on. "If you dared to harm Vincent, I'll make you pay dearly for it," Linda promised coldly, her gaze on Thomas full of menace. He flinched, realizing the severity of his actions. Anywhere else to retreat was gone. Soon, the police and ambulance arrived, taking Thomas and Rachel away. After giving statements, other guests left. As for Thomas, Linda left his case to the lawyers. Outside the police station, Jane griped to Vincent, "I hired them because I heard they were the best. But they let their personal lives mess up our first ever event, nearly costing me a vital team member. What terrible luck, getting partnered with someone like that. I'm firing them when I get back." With a pause, he continued bitterly, "I don't care if we lose money. I'm terminating that contract." All right, calm down. Getting angry can give you wrinkles, and you spent good money on that face of yours. You don't want to waste all that skincare cash just because of them." Vincent tried to soothe him, brushing his hair back gently. Seeing his mood lighten a little, he continued, "Besides, it all started because of their boss. Sure, but he did almost risk his life saving me. That kinda makes us even. Don't be mad. Okay?" Hearing this, Jane finally let out a sigh. "Fine. For your sake, I'll let it go for now. We'll see about any issues once Rachel's recovered." They chatted a while longer before parting ways outside the police station. One going home and the other waiting for Linda to head to the hospital together. Even though he saved her life, it wouldn't feel right holding on to past grudges forever. When he and Linda got to the hospital, Rachel had already been moved out of the emergency room. Vincent went straight to the patient room where Rachel's mom, Helen, was waiting. He entered first, softly greeting her. "Hello, Auntie." Linda stayed outside, sitting on a chair in the hallway. Inside the room, Helen glanced at Vincent without much expression and pointed to a chair beside her, saying simply, "Sit down." "No thanks, Auntie. I just came to ask how she's doing." Vincent sensed Helen's coldness and didn't want to push her, so he shook his head and stood where he was. Honestly, they weren't very close, but she'd been his mom's close friend. After Vincent lost his parents, Helen had helped him out a bit here and there. It wasn't much, but it had meant the world to him, helping someone out in a tough spot. Helen might have kept some things from him involving Rachel and Thomas, but she treated him like a son during his 5-year relationship with Rachel. Vincent never held much against her. He just never imagined he'd visit Helen like this, under such circumstances. She's past the critical stage now. If all goes well, she should wake up by tomorrow, Helen said softly, looking at her daughter's pale face with pain in her eyes. Then she looked at Vincent with a complicated mix of emotions. She wasn't sure how to face Vincent. She knew she and Rachel had wronged him, and leaving was his right. But she was Rachel's mom, so she was naturally inclined to take her daughter's side a little bit. When Vincent left for abroad, Rachel was a wreck, always drunk at home. Then Thomas came into the picture. Helen never liked Thomas, thinking he was too manipulative. And right under her watch, he hurt Rachel deeply. Helen blamed Thomas, her daughter, and even Vincent a bit. How could he just leave like that and crush Rachel's hope? So Helen let Thomas stick around, believing that maybe if Rachel got what she wanted, she'd revert to the vibrant woman she once was. Rachel didn't end up with Thomas, but she managed to get back on track, until Vincent returned to the country and stirred everything up again, leaving her lying unconscious in a hospital bed. Rationally, Helen knew Thomas was the main culprit, but emotionally, she still connected Vincent to this mess. With a sigh, Helen looked at him and said, "For old time's sake, could you do me a favor, Vincent?" His surprise quickly turned to understanding. "Auntie, sure. What do you need? I'm asking you to not see her anymore. If anything like this happens again, I don't think my heart can take it." Helen's plea was earnest, like she was ready to drop on her knees. Vincent wanted to say that whether he sees Rachel wasn't really in his hands, but depended on Rachel too. However, seeing Helen's weary face, he couldn't bring himself to say it. A sarcastic laugh came from the door as Linda walked in, saying bluntly, "Ma'am, if you don't want my boyfriend seeing your daughter, it's simple. Just keep her from bothering him." By the time she finished speaking, Linda had joined them in the room, pulling Vincent closer to her side, making her support clear. Standing up for him, especially in front of an older person, turned Vincent's cheeks red. He turned to Linda, whispering, "I thought I asked you to wait outside. What brought you in?" She looked at him, his face flushed, and feeling entranced. She couldn't help but plant a quick kiss on his lips. Before he could pinch her side, she grabbed his wrist, coughed lightly, "I was just checking on you since you hadn't come out, and surprise, found someone guilt-tripping you instead." Linda's words left Helen embarrassed, but she was more startled by their relationship. Vincent was dating this woman? The realization made her even more frustrated with her daughter. Rachel hadn't valued what she had, and now she couldn't let go, even when Vincent had moved on to a new relationship. Helen had nothing to say, but since the one laying in a hospital bed was her daughter, she forced a smile and promised, "I'll keep an eye on it." With nothing more to say, Vincent took Linda's hand and headed out. They didn't stop until they reached outside the hospital. Linda paused, and Vincent looked back curiously. "What's up?" "Oh, it's nothing. My boyfriend's just too charming. It's a bit overwhelming." She sighed dramatically before he could get embarrassed and added, "Hey, boyfriend, when are you going to give me a promotion in status?" Vincent paused, his face reddening slightly. "Depends on the mood. When the mood's good, I'll promote you." "So when's Vincent in a good mood?" Catching the playful hint in her voice, Linda decided to push further, even though she initially just wanted to cheer him up. He shot her a mock annoyed glance but didn't provide a definite answer. "Depends on your performance." When Rachel woke up, it was already the third night. It was a bit later than the doctors had expected. Helen was so anxious she almost hit the call button every half hour. The doctors had to repeatedly assure her that Rachel's vital signs were stable and there was no danger, calming her nerves a bit. However, they understood the worry. The knife wound was near her chest. If the attacker's target hadn't been slightly above Rachel, the knife might have pierced her heart directly. Moreover, there were no doctors at the crime scene to offer immediate help. When Rachel was brought to the hospital, she was nearly given a critical condition notice. Luckily, fate was on her side. She pulled through the surgery, and her post-op vitals were stable. Even though she woke a bit late, her life was not in danger. After a brief visit on the first day, he hadn't shown up since. Initially, Helen wasn't too concerned. It's normal not to have much energy when you're freshly awake from a severe injury. But as days passed and he remained in that listless state, Helen started to panic. Rachel, what's wrong? Don't scare your mom like this. Just as Helen was about to press the call button in her worry again, Rachel grabbed her hand. She looked down to see Rachel's hopeful eyes. Mom, can you help me? Those words immediately filled Helen with a vague sense of foreboding, further validated by Rachel's following words. Mom, can you ask Vincent to come see me? You were always so good to him. I'm sure he'll listen to you. Hearing it was about this, Helen became irritated and directly refused. No way. Rachel, it's over between you two. Can't you just let it go? He's moved on with his life and you should start yours too. You didn't even like him back then. There are other men out there. Why do this to yourself? Her words were heartfelt. All Helen hoped was that Rachel would take her advice and move on. Back when Rachel was obsessively hung up on Thomas, she eventually let go and accepted someone new. Helen believed Rachel could do the same now. Given enough time, she was sure Rachel would eventually get over Vincent. But, for the first time in front of Helen, Rachel shook her head and began to cry, pleading, Mom, I can't forget him. Without him, I'm going to die. Even when Helen told her that after bringing Linda to see her once on the first day, Vincent hadn't shown any further interest in her condition, Rachel still didn't regret taking the knife for him that day. As painful as it was when the knife plunged into her chest, she felt equally relieved. Thank goodness it was her taking the hit, not Vincent. Rachel wanted to believe that no matter how much Vincent didn't want to see her before, a person like him wouldn't be so heartless to not even check if she was out of danger and awake. Since he did behave this way, there was only one explanation. Helen must have told him not to come. Helen assumed that Rachel's feelings for Vincent were as trivial as her feelings for Thomas, thinking she would eventually get over it just by not seeing him. But Rachel knew it wasn't the same. It said that in life or death moments you truly understand your feelings. In that instant, Rachel was certain she loved Vincent without fear of life or death. This sensation she never experienced with Thomas. She could neither forget Vincent nor let him go. His name was etched deep within her, unforgettable for life. She only knew that, without Vincent, she would die. Yet, seeing Rachel in this state only made Helen more frustrated. Rachel, wake up. He has a girlfriend already. What good would seeing him do? He and his girlfriend are very much in love. He won't come back to you. Helen's words failed to bring Rachel back to her senses. She still looked up at Helen with pleading eyes. Mom, just this once, let me see him. Just one time. Helen steeled herself, refusing to look or listen, maintaining a silent standoff, both betting on who'd relent first. In the end, the one who got their wish was Rachel. Helen didn't know Vincent's address, so she had to try and catch him at his workplace. It took several attempts, but finally, on the third day, as Vincent passed the reception desk, they managed to inform him there was a Ms. Wilton looking for him. Vincent quickly realized it was Helen, but was puzzled about why she'd been trying to reach him for 3 days. He hadn't checked on Rachel after the initial visit. What did Helen want? Soon he'd find out, as Helen approached him with a guilty expression. Without any pleasantries, Vincent asked straight off, Mrs. Wilton, is there something you need with me? Can you see Rachel? She's not doing well. She opened up, aware that he probably suspected her visit was about Rachel. After saying that, she quickly added, Vincent, I know my aunt was a bit harsh last time. She apologizes. Please don't hold it against her. Just this once. Okay? I promise we won't bother you again. Helen thought that apologizing would make Vincent forget the past and agree to meet Rachel. But surprisingly, he shook his head. Aunt, the promise of not seeing her was made by you. I agreed to it and intend to keep it. Plus, even without that promise, I'm pretty busy lately. Helen's face became a little stiff, and hearing his last sentence, she couldn't help but ask, is there something going on? Vincent smiled slightly, a look of happiness spreading on his face with a deeper sparkle in his eyes. I proposed to Linda, and we're busy planning our engagement. The news hit Helen like a ton of bricks. She didn't expect things to progress so fast between them. Unbeknownst to her, Rachel hadn't considered marrying Vincent after 5 years of dating. With Linda, it was something she wanted to happen as soon as possible. Linda chased Vincent for 2 years, dated for another 2, and it was only in the 3rd year they talked about marriage. This was because early on, Vincent had told her he had once given up his dream for someone and didn't want to do that again for anyone. She never looked down on his family background. The Millers, being a top-tier family, didn't need marriages to stabilize their business. For Linda's partner, they valued character over family background. They had no objections to Vincent's desire to pursue his career first. Vincent took 5 years to carve out his own name in jewelry design, becoming recognized for his own work and not just as Linda's boyfriend. Now, he was ready to take the next step. What he needed was to present everything he wanted to give her. There was a gentle knock on the door. It opened, and Linda's voice followed. Holding a warm lunchbox, she smiled at him. "Fiancé, how much longer will you be? I brought you some food." "Almost done," Vincent replied with a smile, motioning for her to sit beside him. Then he turned back to Helen. "Aunt, anything else?" Helen hesitated but eventually shook her head. "You two enjoy your meal. Let's just say today's visit didn't happen." Without waiting for Vincent and Linda to react, she got up and walked toward the door. Once Helen had completely left, Linda casually asked, "What did she want?" Vincent took the lunchbox she handed him, laughed at her attempt to act uninterested, and gave her a detailed and slightly exaggerated account of everything. Seeing the jealousy growing more apparent on her face, he finally stopped teasing, soothing her. "It's okay. I didn't agree to meet her. Nothing to be jealous of." Unexpectedly, Linda perked up at his words. "Why not? Not only should you go, but I want to go too. Our engagement party is coming up, right? Vincent, let's go deliver the invitation to her." Vincent wondered when she became so generous, but upon hearing her next sentence, he realized her intent. But since he adored her, if she wanted to go, they'd go. That afternoon at 5, Vincent and Linda arrived at Rachel's hospital room. Opening the door, Vincent locked eyes with Rachel, who looked up with surprise. Helen hadn't told Rachel about the engagement, just that Vincent hadn't been seen. Rachel thought she wouldn't see him today, so when he showed up, it was an unexpected delight. Before she could react, Helen's expression changed. She had hoped they wouldn't come, just like Vincent had said earlier. But seeing them now meant they weren't here for Rachel. As expected, after some small talk, they got to the point. "We actually have another reason for visiting," Linda said, pulling out an invitation before Helen could stop her. "It's our engagement party in 5 days. Here's the invitation. We'd love for you to come." Linda smiled perfectly, but Rachel's smile cracked. She couldn't maintain her composure anymore. "You two are getting engaged?" This time, Vincent answered, "Yeah, we've had our differences, but after my parents passed, your mom helped me out a lot. Though we can't be together as a couple, you'll always be family to me, and it would mean a lot if you came." Calling her family felt like a heavy blow to Rachel. "Family?" She stared at Vincent, watching his lips move but hearing nothing except the buzzing in her ears. Pain spread from her chest throughout her body, like thousands of needles piercing every inch of skin, engulfing her in darkness. The voices faded away until they vanished entirely, along with her consciousness. "Doctor! Doctor!" Helen's voice echoed through the hospital room. The next moment, Vincent and Linda, along with the invitation they brought, were kindly ushered out. As they left the hospital, Vincent glanced back with concern towards Rachel's room. Is she going to be all right? Are we really doing the right thing? He wondered. After all, she had saved his life. If their visit ended up upsetting her, he'd feel pretty guilty about it. Sure, he didn't expect Rachel to react this way, but still, if she got really upset, he'd feel bad. Linda gave his head a reassuring pat and spoke with a bit of seriousness. "Don't worry. She won't. I've called the best doctor over. Rachel's tough. She fainted once, but it didn't harm her. It actually helped clear her mind a bit. So, it's a blessing in disguise." Before they knew it, it was the day of Vincent and Linda's engagement party. The Millers had organized the whole thing at the fanciest hotel in J-City. Even though it was just an engagement, the Millers were treating it like a big deal. At the party, Everyone was dressed to the nines, raising glasses. On the bride's side, there were just some of her colleagues from DW Company and a few of his friends. Most people were guests of the Millers. Watching the Millers exchange congratulations with guests, Vincent felt a mix of happiness and helplessness. Why did Uncle invite so many people? Our wedding won't be like this too, right? Linda's eyes sparkled with joy as she teased him. The more people, the more they care about you. That's how it works with these big families. The more it matters, the more guests they invite. Makes it lively. My future husband seems excited about our wedding, she added with a playful grin. Should I tell my father to get planning soon? Her first comment surprised Vincent. He didn't realize that big families liked crowds at social events, but her second comment just made him blush. Stop teasing me, or I'll ignore you, he said, pretending to walk away. Linda quickly pleaded, all right, I was wrong. I'm really sorry. You can't leave. What about the engagement party? We need the groom. While they laughed and joked, they didn't notice someone sitting in the corner. She looked a bit pale but was trying hard to act lively. It was Rachel. Against Helen's advice, she insisted on attending the engagement party right after getting out of the hospital. She had found the invitation after they left. Even if she couldn't marry Vincent, she wanted to see him happy with her own eyes. Today, she wore her most expensive, glamorous dress. Anyone who didn't know better might have assumed she was the bride. Vincent, she thought, I've dressed up for your engagement party as if it were my wedding. We weren't meant to be in this life, but maybe in the next we'll be together.